Oh man, here they come again.
Here they come again. This still has skin on the skull.
So when you travel, you see the least spiritual culture in the entire world is America, followed by, Canada and Western Europe. But America, uh, is spiritually blind in every way. So anyway, but so for some of your listeners, this might be new news, but this very busy astral plane, we are triune beings. We have a spirit soul, but that's two different functions. So there's the spirit soul and physical body. The physical body is simply a meat sack. So our real selves live in the physical body. But if you come out of your physical body, which I thank God that I've done that before, because it will change your worldview drastically the first time you're beside yourself, so to speak, and you're like, oh wow, that's my meat sack laying over there. Here I am. But anyway, of course, millions of people have had that experience, and it's ancient. It's all down. It's in the Bible. People just don't realize it's in the Bible. But anyway, Elisha clearly was astral projecting into to hear what the king. What was the nation that was? It was a nation that was trying to take over the Israelites, and they thought they had a spy, and so they were going to kill all of the officers. And one officer said, "Oh, please don't kill everybody. There's no spies here." But there's a prophet in Israel, and he slips into your bedchamber and listens to everything that you say. Well, there were miles and miles and miles between where Elisha was living and the Syrian king. And that clearly is the biblical precedent to what still happens at the Department of Defense. It's called astral spying. And we even have an official program that was pioneered, by the way, by Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey had above top secret clearance at the Department of Defense and the Pentagon, because he pioneered the astral, it's called remote viewing or astral spying. And that's what he did, because he was a world-class astral projector. So he would go in the spirit realm, the unseen realm. Your spirit is not visible to natural eyes. So specters, spirits, they're all around us, good and bad. And some of them can appear on demand anytime they want, and others, they're stuck in the invisible realm. But it's a very, very busy place out there. But if you come out of your physical body, you're in that realm. And so you can see your physical body. You'll also see a translucent blue-white cord that goes from the center of your spirit man into the heart chakra of your meat sack. That gives you permission to inhabit that meat sack. And if that silver cord is cut, you are dead. You are a disembodied spirit. And then, God sends you wherever you need to go, but you're officially dead. Saint or sinner, if that silver cord is cut, you're dead. That's why, Solomon, who was the greatest occult practitioner of all time, an occult adept. That's why he said in Ecclesiastes, after he had lived a long sinful life, he threw himself on the mercies of God. He came back into the good graces of God. And he said in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, he says, therefore, hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Serve God and keep his commandments. It's the whole duty of man. And he says, and serve God before your silver cord is cut, i.e., before you die. After your silver cord is cut, there are no altar calls. It's a done deal. So anyway, that's in the book of Ecclesiastes. And the silver cord, there are two, I think the two best examples of it, if you've never heard of it and want to snoop it out, are the movie by Shirley MacLaine called Out on a Limb. It's about astral projections, and she was a new age practitioner. And so Out on a Limb by Shirley MacLaine. And you can fast forward to the scene in the hot tub where she astral projects, and it portrays that. But anyway, the other one is the Disney cartoon Hercules. And Disney, it's coming out now with pedophilia and all kinds of stuff. But Disney was an occult practitioner. He was not Mr. Nice Guy who loved kids. He was an occult adept. And that's why there's so much occult imagery woven through the Disney cartoons, like The Sorcerer's Apprentice and all these kind of things, Aladdin and the Jinn, all that. But in his Hercules movie, Hercules leaves his body and he goes into the afterworld, the spirit realm, to try to rescue the spirit of his girlfriend. While he's out of his body, remember that Hades tells the witches, cut his silver cord.
Yes.
And they can't. Remember, there's something wrong with the scissors. They won't work. They weren't able to cut his silver cord. And so he was able to come back into his body. And then, Jack slapped Hades. That's the whole cartoon. But anyway, those are clear portrayals of how it actually works. So I said all that to say this. Anton LaVey was one of the premier astral projectors in the world. And he astral projected. He left his body. By the way, if you see a human body and the spirit man is on the astral plane, that body, any doctor, any medic, any EMT guy would say that body's dead. Because I had a captain of the fire department that was real close to calling the police department on me because he thought I was hosting a dead body. And I said, John, please don't call the police. You're going to embarrass yourself because any moment, DJ is going to come back into her body and be fully alive and fine and nothing wrong with her. And you're going to look like a fool. But anyway, thankfully, he was a friend. He said, I'll give you 10 minutes. She came back. He was totally bamboozled. He said, I deal with life and death all the time. I deal with people in comas. That body had no life in it. I said, of course it didn't. The life is the spirit soul. And it was gone. But the silver cord was still attached. So it had a right to come back, animate the body again, and all be well. So with that backdrop, Anton would astral project into Deborah Joy. And if you're thinking, well, I thought she gave her life to the Lord, how could he do that? The answer is, and Tony, you and I talked about this earlier, about portals, gateways from one realm to another. But the portal was it was an organic fetish. A fetish is something that is completely dedicated to the occult realm. And so it becomes a portal. It might be a juju bag or a necklace or a ring, or there's all kinds of things. But she had an eternal fetish. And that is something that is actually inserted into the body. And so it's always with you. And it is a permanently open portal for spirits to come into you. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, that's he would come into her for all intents and purposes. This is Trinidadian zombieism. That's what it's based on. But what happens is we call it a body jacking because we're all familiar with a carjacking. And a carjacking, let's say I own the car, my car. I have the keys. I have the title, but I happen to stop at a stop sign in Oakland, and somebody just opens the door and smacks me upside the head, pushes me out of the driver's seat, and steps in. Now, is it his car now? No, it's not his car. It's my car, and he's commandeered it by force of strength. And so he drives it around, and you're over there as a hostage in your own car. Well, spirits do the exact same thing with bodies. And so So Anton LaVey would come in to her body, bump her out of the driver's seat. What do I mean by that? She's still alive. She can hear what's happening, but her features, her hands, her feet, her eyes, her mouth, everything is being controlled by Anton LaVey. And so I mentioned Trinidadian zombieism. That's what that is based on. And I don't have time to go into that. But anyway, it happened regularly to Deborah Joy. We call her DJ. And by the way, she's alive and well and married to a man she met at our church. And it's a wonderful story of God's redemption. But just like that, all of a sudden, sometimes we'd feel it because you can sense spiritual things, but sometimes not. But all of a sudden, Anton LaVey would be motivating her and either trying to kill us with a butcher knife or kick us in the crotch or jab us in the eye or whatever he could do. But it would not be her. A lot of times she'd come out of that and just begin to cry and say, "I'm so sorry, Daddy. I would have never let that happen, but he's more powerful than I am." So anyway, but during those times, he would talk to me and curse me and everything, but he always called me preacher boy. I've never had anybody else my entire life call me preacher boy, but that was his way of trying to demean me. So he'd always call me preacher boy. And he would never say the name of Jesus because there's such power in the name of Jesus. He would always refer to Jesus Christ as the pathetic weakling. And told him we had fascinating conversations. What I mean by that is I don't know who else in the world may have had this, but I got the doctrine of the Church of Satan, the Crowleyite Satanism, right out of the mouth of Anton LaVey. And, he told me, he said, we believe that God tried to rescue the world, but he failed. He sent his son. He came in the flesh and we killed him and he stayed dead. So that's why we call him the pathetic weakling. And we worship the dark Lord because he's more powerful. Now, that's actually what they think. They believe in all the miracles of Christ except the resurrection. They do not believe in the resurrection of the dead. Of course, that's the operative theme of an authentic Christian, is Christ was resurrected from the dead. And that gives us access to a realm of spiritual power that is unique to authentic Christianity. By the way, it's not even found in the Christian religion. It's not the Christian religion. It's the power of resurrection life that is found by union with Christ. And it's missing in the great American religious enterprise throughout the world, resurrection life. Just thought I'd throw that in there because the world is not looking for the great American religious enterprise. The world is looking for resurrection life and the impact it can make on the human soul. The world desperately needs that. It does not need religion. America fell to hell in a handbasket with a church on every corner. Think about that. So that tells you something about the ineptness of organized religion. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked. So back to Anton LaVey. We had, it was a frequent thing. And he would say, you wait till Halloween gets here, preacher boy, then you'll see why we worship the dark Lord instead of the pathetic weakling. He had said that over and over and over again. And he many times threatened to kill us. And I remember one time, I'll tell you two instances. He came through Deborah Joy. He astral projected into her. He said, preacher boy, we're going to teach you a lesson tonight. He said, tonight we're going to sacrifice a bull and I'm going to eat its heart and drink a gallon of its urine and curse you and your family. And I remember thinking, it must suck to be a Satanist because that is a high level of dedication.
Seriously.
And I remember saying, knock yourself out, Anton. I said, I just want you to know something. My boys and I, and my wife, we're going to watch a movie, have a great time, eat popcorn, and thank God for a good life. So you might want to do a reality check on the value system that you're living under. I said, you curse us at every holiday, every new moon. You curse us all the time. And we don't even notice it's happening, dude. Of course, he'd rant and rave and get angry and curse and leave, That's how we would get him to leave Deborah Joy. It's really interesting, Tony. The first time I tried to cast him out, he just said, F you, preacher boy. He said, I'm not a demon. And I said, well, you're an evil spirit. He said, yeah, but I'm not a demon. He said, I'm still technically on the mortal plane. He said, you know better than to try to cast me out. He said, human beings can blaspheme Christ if they want. And that's what I want to do. He said, I don't have to obey Christ. No human being has to obey Christ. They can choose to, but I don't have to. So what you do to demons, you can't do to me. And I just thought, how do you like them apples? It makes sense. He's a human. We see humans blaspheme Christ all the time, right? Yeah. And so anyway, what we would do is we would just put our hand over the DJ's mouth so we didn't have to listen to his blasphemy. And I read the Bible to him. I'd just do a full-on altar call and say, Anton, as much as you hate Christ, he loves you. You're made in his likeness. And him, he's just trying to, say F you or something. We just like, no, we're not going to let you say anything. But if you stay here, you're going to hear the gospel preached to you. And of course, he would leave. But then it would happen again. It was a recurring issue. But he threatened us. He threatened, and and another time, he was ranting and raving about killing us. And I said, Anton, every time we talk, you tell us how powerful you are and how weak we are. You're nothing. I'm the world's greatest sorcerer, and you're nothing, preacher boy. I said, okay, so supposing that is true, my question is why you don't just kill us and come rescue your daughter. Well, it's not because of you. I said, I'm not asking you what it's not because of. I'm asking you what it's because of. Why don't you come get your daughter? And he said, oh, it's all those damned angels that surround you.